Yo,
Yo,
yo. How are you, my man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm
Nice.
actually getting started. Yeah, it's been a good weekend.
Yeah, for me as well. Not a lot of sleep, but
Yeah, partying or?
little bit, little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What did you go somewhere or just with friends?
with friends, we went out for like not out as you would regularly go out, but like in a bar, and you have your own table. So it's a bit weird, but at least you can do stuff outside of your house with
Yeah.
friends. That's really cool.
Was that the first time you went out again?
No, no, I've been. I mean, the summer was pretty good here, and like all the terraces were open, so it's
Hmm.
also kind of going out. And now it's getting colder, so we gotta get a bit more indoors. It's a bit more tricky with the virus, but yeah, I think everyone is managing well. So
Yeah. And how are you managing with the whole COVID thing? Because all the gigs got canceled, of course.
yeah, actually pretty good. I mean, it's been a weird summer, but I feel like I have way more time for my friends and family. And right now in the studio, I'm being experimental and doing some stuff like just making stuff I really want to make and not
Hmm.
really focusing on where it should be for. And that's really cool. Like that's why I
Yeah.
want to make music. Just music that I like. So yeah.
Kind of go back to the core.
Yeah, definitely go back to the core, and
Yeah.
I'm blessed to have the time to do that. So until the festivals get back, I hopefully next year, but I can manage to hold on for that
Hopefully,
long.
man. I actually went to last weekend. I went to the show of Blasterjax in Germany
Oh,
in the
nice. How was
arena.
that?
So that was the first time I actually experienced a Corona-proof event.
How was it?
I must say it actually was pretty cool. As in, I thought that that kind of the atmosphere was pretty. That was going to be weird, right? Because
Yeah.
everyone has this
Hmm.
distance and yeah, I just thought it was going to be a bit weird, but it went completely
It
off.
was cool.
Everyone went crazy, and I must say it
Nice,
was really cool.
nice, really cool.
So yeah, that's a good way to spend your time for as long as the
Yeah,
festivals come back.
for sure, for sure.
Listen, thanks again for taking the time to do this. As you can see in the chat, everything's
Everybody's excited. What's up?
exactly. And yesterday we already uploaded a story post where people could leave their questions.
Yep.
Um, so I suggest we get started with those ones. Just gonna pick out some
Cool.
questions
Hit
randomly.
hit me with the questions.
Is there anything in specific you'd like to focus on, like more music related or more career building related?
For me, whatever, man. Like everything works. If it's personal questions or questions about life. I mean, we all have we all. I think we have a bit more. At least us DJs, we have a bit more time to think
Hmm.
and read books, and so yeah, yeah.
Cool.
That's ask me anything.
Cool. Let me see. Maybe this is a good one. It's a pretty deep one. Can you see the questions as
Yeah,
well?
I can see it. How do I
Okay.
deal with anxiety? I am at the point in my life where I have to choose whether I follow my passion. That's it, right? That's
Yeah, follow a question. Like,
yeah,
and the reason why I picked this question is because I think this is something every artist kind of goes through. That tipping point where you feel like, okay, am I going to really do this,
yeah.
or what's the thing?
Uh
How did you
huh.
deal with that?
Well, it's like I think dealing with anxiety is something you're gonna have to deal with probably throughout your life and career for
Hmm.
sure. And it's not something that is easy, especially when you don't have a solid career yet.
Hmm.
Um, so that's like how to deal with anxiety. It works different for everybody, and some people have more anxiety than others. Some people have parents who really expect kids to do well in school and expect a lot from their kids. I was very lucky with my parents. They didn't expect anything of me.
Hmm.
Um, of course, they said do good in school, but like I had to follow my passions and my
Yeah.
my the things I liked. So that can, I mean, that's for me, that was it was easier to deal with anxiety
Yeah.
from, hey, is this going to work out or not?
What was it, like a conscious decision for you, or was it more like, was it more at a moment where the success already came to you and then you had to make the decision?
No, I got my bachelor's, which is here in Holland. You have a 4-year education for that.
Hmm.
I did that after high school, and during that time, I already was making music, not making any money yet from it. So I still had a job on the side.
Hmm.
And then after that was finished, I didn't have a career yet. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try for a year. So I gave myself a year um, to, yeah, to like break through or make some career out of it.
Yeah.
And that was 2012, and end of 2013, everything took off.
Mm.
So it all went really fast. But yeah, I definitely gave myself some time to like focus on music, focus on my career, and to not go for like a full-time job yet. So
Yeah. That's probably a good tip, like taking a year to give yourself some time to, yeah, to go all in, because
yep,
eventually, if you want to build a career as an artist, you're gonna need to spend time on it, a
yep,
lot of
yep,
time.
yep. No rush.
And then even after that year, if everything kind of sucked and it didn't work out, you can still go back, right? You can still go
Yep.
back and find another job or whatever.
Yeah, and I mean, and there's no rush, like, of course you have to make money, so you have to make ends meet, you have to get you have to live somewhere and eat and sleep and get clothes. I mean, that's of course, so you need a
Yeah.
job. But for the rest, like, you shouldn't really rush, like, oh, I need a career and I need to build now for a career. 1 year, it's fine to take out 1 year, like a lot of
Yeah.
people when they finish school, they are like, okay, I'm now going to work and I might go traveling in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I've spoken to a lot of people from internships that were like 40-ish, and they were like, yeah, I regret I went straight to work because now I'm never gonna take a year off again.
Yep.
um, so when you're young, and I mean, what's young? I mean, 40 is maybe still young, we get older and older.
Even halfway your life.
Exactly. So like, what's a year, on your whole life? So don't rush. Like, don't feel try not to feel the pressure of society. Like, yeah, you have to get a job and you have to get more money
Yeah.
and follow your passion.
In most cases, that's where the anxiety comes from. The feeling that you have to do things now instead
Yeah.
of spending another 2 years or 5 years. Or in most cases, if you hear those artists asking those questions, they're 18 years old, 20
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
dude, you're just a kid,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
take that
I
extra
mean,
year, take that 2 3 years to
yeah.
develop and to
Exactly.
explore.
Yeah. Yeah, but
And
it's like something from society, and
yeah, it
like
is.
I hear people from 24 who are like finishing their studies, and then the people around them, and it's out of curiosity, but they start asking, oh, and you already have a job or you're already looking for jobs. And when you would say, no, I'm not going for a job, I'm going for music, people will probably be like, oh, but
Ooh. You
you,
sure?
but you have to learn how to kind of ignore those questions,
Yeah.
because they put um, pressure on you, but that's only because you then put pressure on yourself. So
Yeah.
yeah, follow your own rules, basically, in that.
Good advice, man. Good
Yeah.
advice. And checking the chat, everyone agrees on it. There's even a guy who's 14 years old and working on music.
Nice.
That's even younger.
Yep.
Okay, let's pick another one. By the way, there was a question here. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Well, let's just take this one. How did you start touring?
Um, well, I was playing in a small bar in Drunen, where I come from. It's like a local bar, and I would play like all night in this bar for 50 euros or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would do like local events. That's where you kind of learn how to DJ. And then I did my first international booking through Sam Veld. because he had some connection with a promoter in Malta, and he was still then Dr. Popasov and Sam. So we went to Malta and we got this booking. It was really cool, and not for a lot of money, but I was just like, it's the experience and stuff like that. And then like pretty soon after that, I had Wizard with Martin Garrix, and basically I got signed to Spinnin. Then I got signed to Ace Agency then for bookings, and then I was my agenda was full. So that's.
So how long was that period from playing in Drunen to basically flying over the world?
I'd say half a year or something like that.
Okay.
So super fast.
It's pretty quick.
It's like it's. I think people should realize, like, I had a like a hit with Martin Garrix, and he was like the biggest thing at the time, maybe still is.
Yeah.
And then he introduces a new name, which is me, and it's like, who's that guy? So everybody's booking me because I'm at that time. It wasn't expensive to book me, so. I mean, yeah, it just took off, and that's like not the normal way. I think it's, of course, it would be amazing if you could score a hit like that and tour. But I think I talked to one of your I'd say students, someone who was artist coaching, and he just emailed local festivals if they had a spot. He wasn't from Holland, so there's also other countries who have a lot of festivals. Not now, but and then he got bookings, and actually one of the festivals requested to book him again the year after for some money. So that's how it can start as well. And just try to release music.
How was that for you? Because I can imagine going from playing in Drunen to playing internationally in 6 months is kind of mind blowing. And
it's crazy.
you just mentioned like you had that track with Martin Garrix and suddenly everything exploded, which makes sense now. Mm-hmm. But was it something that you were aware of at that moment as well? Or was it more like, oh, cool, Martin names my name, drops my name, that's it, funny?
No, it instantly, like for me, it literally instantly took off. And I think I maybe didn't realize how big it all was. Mm-hmm. So I had the feeling like I was still this DJ from Drunen. And like, then I would arrive at festivals and like say my name, and the people would go crazy. Like when I said my name, and like for me that was what? Like they know me, you know, they know this music. Yeah. But and basically from then on it's just trying to stay with your both 2 feet on the ground. Because it can get pretty crazy. But I just enjoyed it a lot, and I think I'm still I try to be the same humble guy that I always was, and just enjoy the moments that that are successful, and it can be small stuff as well.
Okay, let me take another question. What was that question? Did you do a study for electronic music?
Nope.
Do you think that's necessary?
No, it's definitely not necessary, because like, look at me, I'd say, or look at all the guys who didn't do studies and are making great music. It can be helpful, definitely. You know, like on the schools there, you meet people who have the same interests. Technically, it can definitely help to improve your skills and get some knowledge about what you're doing. So it can definitely help. But for me, no, I just did like regular school stuff, so to speak, and like kind of management.
So how did you learn it then?
Doing it. I mean, I've always, like, when I got my first keyboard from my parents, I was just like recreating songs with the melodies. So I was good with melodies. And what I think the most important thing is having an idea in your head. Like, you have to hear some song in your head, and it's not that you can like do it like this. Sometimes just something pops in your head, and then you try to recreate that. And just what you can also do is like hey, this song by Showtek or whatever has this cool lead sound. I'm gonna try to make that.
Hmm. Okay.
And what happens then is like you try to create, but you don't recreate it, and you have your own version, and then it sounds cool, and then you use your version, and it's even more unique. So it's
Yeah.
like it's all about just trying stuff out and mostly having fun. And don't push yourself, and don't try to push like, oh, I need a release, or I need, just have fun at first, and
Yeah.
that's the
And that,
best way to learn. It's like,
and that's what you're finding. Well, maybe you're finding it back again right now, like having fun in
yeah,
making music again, experimenting, those kind of things.
yeah, for sure. That's already was my goal actually last year.
Mm.
Like 2019, I was already like struggling a little bit with finding creativity, and I think this year has allowed me to take a rest, or at least like just not. I don't have to create music. I don't have to release music this year, and I never have to. But you put the pressure on yourself.
Somehow it
Uh,
felt like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it felt this year that I could just like chill and make music whenever I wanted to, and that's I mean that's why I'm really blessed to be in this position,
Yeah.
and I'm still like experimenting, so that's it's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
There also were a few questions which I saw about your Twitch. When do you come back to Twitch? They said.
Well, this is the thing. Like, I love Twitch, and I loved like the community that's on Twitch. We were like, I was streaming a lot when like the lockdown just started,
Hmm.
and there were a lot of people who regularly came back, and it was a really cool little community actually.
Hmm.
We were building there, but I feel like streaming is taking a lot of your time and a lot of your energy.
It is.
So like, once the camera turns on, you feel like, oh, there's people watching now, and it's like you really it really takes a lot of energy, and you really notice that when you get home, especially after a couple of weeks, it's super intense.
But you had like a whole schedule, right? You streamed
Yeah,
4 times a week or something.
yeah, like I tried to do that,
Mm.
and it basically took, well, all of my time out of making new music. And I think to make good music, or at least something you love, um, you have to be relaxed, and in a kind of state of mind that you're fresh, and
Yeah. True.
yeah, you don't have to feel the pressure. And I think for me, streaming personally puts a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah.
But I hope to be back. I see some guys here
People miss you.
on the stream. Yeah, I see some guys on the live stream who were definitely part of all those live streams, like
Okay.
Jigsaw 10 and Maurice Lessing and Felix Samuel. All those guys, I saw them coming by. Lion Harris,
Nice.
and yeah, I hope to be back sometimes. But it's a lot of energy, and yeah, I'm just trying to put it in new music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me check. Mark this one. Marketing and getting in touch with labels.
Yeah. Market.
So
Yeah.
let's
Is
just
that a
get started,
question?
because there's actually two questions in one.
Yeah.
One of those questions, getting in touch with labels, because this
Yeah.
is something a lot of artists are struggling with,
Yep.
especially if you talk about the bigger ones out there, Spinning Records, Revealed, I don't know, all those big names.
Yep.
They don't seem to even reply anymore. Maybe don't even check the demos anymore.
I mean, I think they will always check demos.
Hmm.
So there's always some team on the demos, but I think physically you can't check all demos because
No.
so many people make music. But I think I always believe that if the music is really good, and you make more tracks that are good, sooner or later, someone somewhere will hear your track
Hmm.
and will maybe play it, will maybe send it around. So I got in touch with Spinning through Martin Garrix, and he was already signed there, but they love my music as well, so they hear what I could
Yeah.
do. And I think, yes, I had a great introduction there, but yeah, it's you need a bit of luck also, for sure.
Do you think that that's something that's necessary? Necessary, as in, having a foot between the door. So for you, that was Martin Garrix, but knowing
Yeah,
someone.
I think it's that little bit of little bit, maybe a lot of luck you need
Mhm.
to just get in there, you know, like get noticed. Because there's, especially now, there's so much music out there.
Yeah,
Um, but in the end, like your music has to be good in order to get it, because if you get noticed and your music isn't good, then
yeah,
what's the point? So just focus on making music. um, just send it to labels, send it to their demo drop, send it to artists, maybe demo drop. Don't put too much time in it, I'd say. Just focus on making the music really good.
hmm,
um, and for instance, what happens sometimes, I hear a demo and I think it's really good and I can play it in my radio show, and then when the next track of that guy is also really good, then it's like, hey, this guy is getting my attention. And
yeah,
that's also how it works for labels. And you see that labels are releasing more and more music, so I think maybe that opens new opportunities to
yeah.
get your tracks out there.
And the marketing part, is that something that you deal with yourself, or is that mostly something the label take cares of?
Yeah, it's definitely, you have to have your own idea at least. Like I remember when I got signed to Spin In, and then I would have a track, and I would be like, hey, I want to do this video with this and this, and I know these guys who can make it. And they were a bit surprised, because artists would usually be like, yeah, just make a video, this is the
Yeah,
budget. And I always was surprised by that, because I think if you're an artist and you have your music, then it's definitely partly your responsibility to tell the story around the track.
yeah,
And do that's basically marketing, telling a story,
it is. Yeah,
and getting the numbers and getting the streams and getting the views. That's I think the job of the label, or somewhere where you release.
that's mainly more the promotional part, probably.
Yeah, and that's basically technical, like how many Google ads and whatever. But
Yeah,
if the
exactly.
idea is cool, if you have a cool video or a cool artwork, it all adds to the music. But in the end, the music matters. So there are great hits with terrible artworks and terrible videos.
Yeah,
So it's but it's just it's a thing where I think if you have the time to put your energy in it, it can be really fun and fulfilling to get more out of your track.
true. Let's pick this one. How to introduce myself in a music world because I'm a beginner. Where do I start? How do I start?
Um, well, forums. I don't know if there are a lot of forums now that uh, are 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 about music production. Maybe Reddit,
I think
um,
they're replaced by like Facebook groups and stuff.
Facebook groups. Yeah, but that's the thing I mean as well. Like Discord groups. Try to find a community. Try to find maybe one guy that you know that also makes music. Try to find those people, and it can be all around the world. Um, and try to find the people who have the same passion as you,
Yeah,
about music. Like for me, music isn't a way. Well, it sounds weird, but it isn't a way to make money in the first place. So I want to make music because I feel like I have to make music. And then when I made it, then of course you want to make money out of it. So that then comes the marketing plan and whatever.
yeah,
But for me, it's mainly about the passion. And I remember when I was like on the Vata Gonzalez forum and Lebeck Luke forum, I tried to find people who had the same passion and had the same creative vibe. And then you build your own little group of people around you who can help each other, getting in the music industry and progress quality wise and mostly have fun. Um, so yeah, you make new friends, and that's I think even if you don't make a career out of it, at least you have some friends who
yeah.
have the same
I think it also
passion.
comes down to the thing that you mentioned earlier in the conversation, like learning by doing, you mentioned, but it's
Yeah,
also getting your name out there as a beginner also has to do with just doing it. Like
yeah,
what most people in general tend to do is overthink all the things they want to do.
yeah, Yeah.
And in most cases, it's just a matter of doing it, like
Yep.
throwing yourself into the deep and trying to see if you
Make
can swim.
mistakes. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
what you've done as well.
Yeah, you make mistakes and you put music out there that you afterwards maybe were like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or yeah, I mean, but and then you learn from it.
Yeah.
And exactly also it's funny, but with the streaming, with like the Twitch streams, I was always like, oh, I want to do it, but when I'm gonna do it, I want to do it right, and that's just keeping you from doing it.
Doing it
So
right doesn't exist.
exactly, and
Yeah.
you can't make it perfect right away. You have to a lot to learn. So, for instance, with the lockdown, what happened was, okay, I was like, I want to live stream on Twitch. So I just was like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna do it. I have a camera.
Yeah.
Let's go. And I googled some tutorials, and it didn't look good yet, but it worked. And then from there you progress, and you're like, oh wait, I need to change that. I need to change that. And then there are people in the chat like, hey, you need to change that. You need a moderator. You need this, and then
Like, oh
people
shit.
help you. Yeah, and because you just started doing it,
Yeah.
and it doesn't really matter if it's not perfect at the first time.
I once heard a great sentence about that, which was, "Don't be perfect, be productive."
Yeah, you can be perfect. So
Yeah, that's the one I loved. You know, it's
yeah,
I'm gonna put that one on my arm.
yeah.
Let me check. Yeah, this one, something that a lot of people struggle with as well. Sometimes I feel stuck at music production, and this makes me question if I'm good enough. Is this normal?
Simple answer, yes. This is very normal,
Mm-hmm.
and every artist, every big artist as well, everybody gets stuck. Everybody has like if I have a good day in the studio, I'm happy, everything feels good. If I have a bad day in the studio, and those I have way more than good days, um, I feel like I'm never gonna create anything good again, or anything that I love, and that's just part of being in creative industry or being a creative person. If you um, don't create anything on a day, you feel like shit.
Yeah.
And if you do, then you feel great. So and the trick is to not try to push it and just accept when there's nothing, I think.
And how do you deal with that? As in going into the studio, as you mentioned, spending 8 hours staring at your screen.
I don't do that.
Okay, you stop doing it.
Well, like I go to the studio in the mornings, let's say, and okay, I sometimes I dive right into some projects, and I'm taking off, and it's 6 o'clock before you know it.
Yeah.
But also sometimes I just think, okay, maybe I can do some emails. There's always some work to do, so I do some work, and then it's the afternoon, and I feel like, okay, music wise, nothing's gonna happen. What am I gonna do? And then you just either you find some work to do. I maybe play some piano, play some guitar, or I go home and I call it a day, and I try to not feel um, to feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
So you always because especially because all of your friends are working like office jobs or like normal jobs,
Yeah.
and you feel like, okay, it's Tuesday afternoon, it's 2 o'clock, and I'm going home and I'm gonna watch a movie, and it feels kind of like you shouldn't do this. You should be on working, but
Yeah.
again, that's something for the whole creative industry. You can't like like more hours in the studio does not equal more music.
Yeah. That's a
Like
good one.
the
Yeah.
best idea can be formed in 5 minutes, and then that track around it can be built in 2 hours.
Yeah.
But it can take a week for that moment to um, arrive. So
Yeah. It all comes down to managing and controlling your mindset, right? So the
yep,
thing you do as well during the afternoon, deciding like, hey, does it actually add value if I'm gonna stay focusing on making music, or
yep,
is it not gonna make any sense, and should I do something else with my day? Because sometimes it's just not working out. So
yep,
you really have to become aware of your own thoughts
yep,
and what you're actually doing as well, and controlling those thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a thing where you get older.
Hmm.
You, especially like what we talked about before, like society puts kind of this pressure on you,
Yeah,
and you yourself start putting pressure on yourself. And when I was younger, like when I was 16 and making music, or 17, 18, I didn't have that pressure, and I felt like I had all the time in the world to make music. Um, if you're a kid, try to stay in that period of your life as long as possible,
yeah,
because someday it's gonna snap. Like, oh, I'm mature now, and now
yeah,
I have responsibilities, and that's, I think from then on, it's about controlling your mindset, and that's difficult, but I think that's also probably life, in all, for all people. That's always going to
yeah.
be there, I think.
True, it's a big struggle, but it's a big
Yep.
challenge for everyone. So not
Yep.
just artists, but for everyone. But I truly believe, as in that's the whole reason why artist coaching exists. It's to help producers and artists getting that mindset and
Yeah.
learning how to control that mindset,
Yep.
because eventually that will make you so much more happy
For
and
sure.
efficient,
Yep.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I think, yeah, the basic thing is you cannot force creativity,
Yeah,
and you cannot force a good idea. It's like it just has to. It's like there's a lot of books about creativity and whatever, but it always comes down to you cannot decide when you have inspiration. You can stimulate it, but you cannot, well, I cannot be in the studio and be like, now I'm going to have a good idea. I
yeah,
need to be like separated from that idea that I can make a good idea.
yeah.
And then just stuff just happens, and like that's amazing about music production, I think.
True.
Yep.
Is not an interesting one. Something you might have dealt with as well.
How to deal with all the negative feedback.
I actually
um
I actually saw some comments, like I don't know who it was, but some guys like I hate Jay Hardway in the comments, and I was like, why? Why would you take the time to join this chat and drop that negativity?
well, I think um there's always going to be haters, and especially on the internet, and I think it's just, I mean, you can turn your phone off. You don't have to read YouTube comments. You don't have to read your inbox. Turn your computer off. um, and it sounds so simple, and it's definitely hard, but it's like people hating online. It's like they would probably all of them would never dare to say anything to you in real life.
Yeah,
So it's such a dumb thing, like cyberbullying. And I always think like, it can be really damaging, of course,
mm,
but try to just switch your phone off and realize that it's fake. Like,
mm,
just as that online friends can become real friends, but you should always be aware that they can also be very fake friends.
yeah,
um
catfish.
yeah, so if you have some friends at home, and if you have a family, I mean, it's different for everybody, but that's like real life.
Yeah,
And Instagram, it's Instagram, what internet is part of it. A lot of it is fake. So
so you deal with it by turning off your phone and not even looking at it, or
yeah, or I see some comment, and I, of course, you can't help but feel something. You can't help but feel um, like offended, or anything. But then you just need to tell yourself like it's fake, and this guy is probably some loser who wants some attention.
yeah.
um, and then you move on, and because you can't really decide how you're gonna react to it, physically, like something's happening here, or mentally.
Well, there's something last week. I don't know where it was. I think it was a book or a podcast, but somewhere I heard like this simple sentence, but it's as you mentioned as well. You always have a choice.
Yeah.
As in, if someone tells you that they hate you or your music sucks or whatever negativity they drop, you always have a choice on how you're gonna let that impact you.
Yeah.
And that's something that to realize, it's super important. Like, you decide if it's going to impact your life,
Yep.
or if you're going to put it aside
Yep.
you and don't care about it.
Yeah, I read this book called The Four Agreements. and it's I can recommend it to anyone. It's a small book, so if you're not a
It's
reader, you
always
can
great.
still read it fast. But it also says like, don't take anything personally, and especially when you're an artist and people start hating, you should not take it personally, because it mostly says more about the person hating than about you, because they don't know you. But also, and this is also very important, when people are loving you, um, also don't take it personally. It's like, um, yeah, your music is amazing, and it's not as much about me. It's like that can help make you more humble, I think, because if you create something amazing, is it actually you that creates it, or is it something like came into your head? Like, where does that come from?
Yeah.
But read the book. It's like really, it's a really interesting way of looking at it. And for me, I feel like I've always had that mindset of like, yes, I created this awesome track, but it's not because I'm really amazing. It's just it just happened, and it's not special, so to speak. Does
And I
that make
think,
sense?
yeah, and I think some people kind of, well, get born with that mindset, as in you might have learned it from your parents. They've
Yeah.
instilled it into your uh, what's the word?
DNA or
Yeah, not necessarily DNA, but how they teach you to live life. Fuck. What's the word? Anyway.
mindset or like
Yeah, anyway. But it's
something like
either
that.
that, so you learn it from your parents,
Yeah.
or you learn it through another way. So reading books, listening to podcasts, whatever
Yeah.
you do, getting that knowledge yourself.
Yeah.
That's
It's
worked
always,
for me.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's important for everyone, I think.
Let me take another one. Also another big one.
How to
How
know
to
when a track
know?
is finished?
Yep.
Um, I think a track is never finished. So,
So how do you know when to release it then?
well, like I always decide with uh, a manager, or if you don't have a manager, it can be a friend, and just ask around for tips. Like, what would you change? What would you change? If you hear a tip, you mostly instantly know if you agree with it. So if say like, oh, that build up needs more risers, uh, you can be like, okay, yeah, good idea, or you can be like, no, I don't agree. The build up is fine. But like I try to send my track around to labels. So I send it to a label, and if they may have like want some changes, and a manager. And in the end, I always think it's your own decision. But it's never going to be finished. So tracks I release now, I feel like, oh, that bass line I would have done differently, or that lead melody, or that EQ of that snare, whatever. But and this is something that Junkie XL, who like had massive hits in electronic music and now is working in big movie productions in Hollywood. He still has the same thing. So the movie scores he did, he says like, they're never really finished, but there comes this time where this is the deadline, and this is what we have now, and the director agrees. So
Yeah.
that's it. And yeah, I mean, yeah, when is music finished? You never know.
Yeah. So you like to get like a neutral opinion from a third party, as in, yeah, just
Yeah.
someone who you trust.
Yeah, people you trust, and it can be people online as well. And I think the longer your career, or your hobby of making music is, you start to realize more and more when you think a track is finished.
Yeah. True.
So, and that's, yeah.
I also believe that's the value of the thing that you do for artist coaching, the mentoring.
Yeah.
Not everyone has access to a person who knows what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Because I also had family and friends which I showed my music to, and they were like, "Oh, it sounds nice." Like,
Yeah, it's great.
okay. And then, like, should I change something? What do you like about this effects?
Yeah.
And they're like, "What the fuck?" So having access to someone to knows what he's talking about, and
Yeah.
I think that's very valuable, and that's why I think having a mentor as you might call it, or just a friend who knows what he's talking about,
Yeah,
helping you, that really helps.
definitely. Yeah, for sure. And it can
True.
also be just a confidence thing, you know, like to people
Yep.
who bring you some confidence.
Yep. Exactly. I always used to try it out, my track, and then just watch the reaction on the dance floor.
Yeah, very important for electronic music, but that's this year. It's
No, that's
not
checking
working.
the live stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me try to find one more, and then we'll call it a day. For everyone who's watching right now, this live stream will be available online, will remain to be available, so you can look back to it if you want to. Lots of production stuff, so maybe it's smart to do one about that and say, like, let me see. Yeah, maybe this. How can I make my mixing and mastering sound professional?
Yeah, that's I think it's a difficult question because when does something sound professional and who decides? Like, it's difficult. That's experience, I think. So the first thing would be experience, having a lot of hours in the studio, making a lot of music, making a lot of styles of music, comparing your track to release tracks by big artists or big DJs. It's important. Educate yourself, find new sounds, find new tutorials, experiment. Take maybe lessons. Like I know Tom and James who are in the same building here. They do production lessons.
Yeah.
What they do is like they work.
There's more artists doing that right now. So.
Yeah, and they were already doing it for a while, for a couple of years, and they just work with people who show the project, and then they explain like, oh, we would do it like that. That can be really helpful. Mixing and mastering is something that takes years to master.
How do you think about outsourcing those things?
I love it. Like mastering, I don't always do myself sometimes, but I also outsource it. Sometimes I outsource the mixing. It's basically a time thing, and sometimes you have this idea, and the project becomes so complicated that you don't really hear anymore, like mix-wise, what you're doing, and it's then fine to just bounce all the parts.
Yeah.
Get a mastering engineer and let it mix, because I think the most important thing is the idea. Of course, and I think before you have a budget for mastering and mixing, you should be able to make something sound good in a club. And I think that's probably always a struggle every project, because that's funny, you can't like select one bass line that always works in every track. It's always different every project. So, but that's the challenge, and that's cool, and you need to learn how to enjoy that, and then you will learn from doing. So
I think it's good that you mentioned that the mixing and the mastering is separate from the creative part, you know, the idea of the song. I think a lot of artists are confused that if you outsource mixing or mastering, that you're not a real producer, but it doesn't have anything to do with music production.
No.
As in the idea, the creative part, that's you, that's the artist.
Yep.
And then mixing and mastering is just a whole different skill set.
Yeah, well, kinda. I also think like in your mix, there's something personal there as well. You know, how you mix your bass, how you mix your kick, how you mix. But in the end, if you have a great idea, that's where it always starts. That.
Cool, Jay. I want to thank you for taking the time to do this and share your knowledge.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no worries. And for everyone who's watching, if you want to keep learning from Jay, he's available through Artist Coaching, the logo, the page that you're on right now. You can book him as a mentor and have personal sessions with him one-on-one to learn from him, production-wise or even music business-wise. It's very, very valuable, and lots of people already gave great feedback. So, Jay, thanks again for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, man. Bye-bye.
Bye, man.